Good day, YouTube. Today we're going to look at Acumen Fuse. We're going to import some data, select the metrics to use on the data. We're going to run a Fuse analysis and figure out what problems there are in the schedule, figure out how to resolve the issues, and then publish the results. The software itself is divided into three main features, really. Fuse for the diagnostics, Acumen Risk to do risk analysis, and then 360 to accelerate the schedule. You'll see that it's broken up into 5 phases, S1 through S5. Okay, here we are in Fuse, ready to import our schedule. And we can import it from any one of these you see in the top left here. Project, Oracle, etc. We'll do an Oracle XCR, so we'll click on that, find the XCR we're interested in, open it. You'll see that in the project's workbook area, the initial plan comes in. But there are 0 activities because we haven't yet imported it. At this point, you'd be thinking about do we need to filter any of the data, etc. that's going to come in. So you highlight the plan, decide if you do want to apply a filter at all. There's some generic ones here. So we're going to bring in everything basically, so we're not limiting it in any way. But you can do if you need to. Once we've decided on that, we go and hit the import project, and it will bring in the data. You can see now we've got 54 activities in this plan, and the S1 area is now highlighted, and we can see that there's initial plan at the top with some basic details about the schedule. Then in the middle area here we have essentially the Gantt chart. You can expand it and look for individual activities, and then you'll see those in the Gantt chart area to the right. And then if you target a particular activity, 140 is activity with some duration on it. So you can now look in the bottom area and see you have 10 days to do, 2 weeks remaining, and all these other good things, relationships, uncertainty, costs, and risk events. It's possible to compress the areas so that you're only looking at the Gantt chart, and it's quite flexible in that way. Once we're happy with the schedule as it stands, then we're ready to go and do a Fuse analysis on it. So we need to go to the S2 Diagnostics tab for that. So click on that. Now we're in the Diagnostics area, and we click on the Fuse icon in the middle here, and that will run a calculation on whatever the selected metrics is. The default metrics here is schedule quality, and that consists of all of these good things, missing logic, and all the other good things here. And they're the ones that will be analyzed when we click on Fuse. In the bottom area are all the other generic metrics that you can choose. So all of these are individual metrics, and as you get used to it, you'll figure out which are the most valuable for your situation. So we have an S2 diagnostic screen here that's divided basically up into 4 quadrants. Top left quadrant is the ribbon browser, top right is the ribbon analyzer, bottom left is the phase analyzer, and then on the bottom right you've got the individual activity browser. The top left quadrant up here we call the ribbon browser. You can see there's one long ribbon representing the project, divided up into years at the moment. The time phases can be altered here, days, weeks, months, etc. At the moment we're looking at the project divided into its years, so it's going over 4 years, 3 and a bit. So that's the top left, the ribbon browser. Top right is the ribbon analyzer. So here again are all the metrics that we saw down the bottom here. So we're seeing that there are some problems. When it's red, obviously that's essentially bad. So we've got 30 activities with lag, 11 with missing logic, etc. If we want to look in more detail at, let's say, missing logic. So there's 11 in total throughout the entire project, but when we've divided it up into the years, we can see that missing logic, there's 8 in the first year, 2010, 1 in the second year, 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth. So if we were interested in these 8 initially, we could click on that 8, and that would bring up the bottom right area. That's called the activity browser. And so it's identifying the 8 activities that have missing logic. So there we can see them, their IDs, their descriptions, and if we slide the slider along, you can see there's oodles of information available there. So that was the 8 we're looking at because we clicked on this red box 8 here. If we went to the missing logic area in the ribbon analyzer and clicked on the 11 there, click on there, it would recalculate. Now we're seeing the 11 activities in total that have missing logic. And so we've identified them, and we can go and look at them in more detail if we wanted to. And you can see that all of these metrics are detailed here with the number of activities involved. So it's quite possible to have a detailed analysis of your schedule, splitting it up into phases, and that's what we call this bottom left area. We call that the phase analyzer. If you wanted to change the phases, then that would be up here. So if we wanted to go to quarters, for instance, we could click on quarters. It requires a recalculation, so the screen goes blank initially. Then you have to go to Fuse again, the Fuse icon, click on that. Recalculates based on quarters. Now we can see that missing logic. Oh yeah, there are 5 instances in quarter 1 of the first year. Click on that. It tells you the 5 that are involved. So you can target down into smaller and smaller phases. Go down to days if you wanted to track down where the problems are in your schedule. Let's go back to years. A little bit easier to comprehend in years. Recalculate, and there we are back into individual years. If I wanted to pursue this, say missing logic, those 8 that I've identified there, or 11 in total in the schedule, I could go to the S2 Logic tab that you can see along the top there, S2 Logic. Now it looks at all of the different kinds of relationship that you can have and all of the problems that may be present. So we said there was missing logic there, so that would essentially be open ends. And so when we look at the open ends one, we see that there are 11 here in total. And if we slid along a bit, we would find the details about those 11. So number of predecessors. Remember, each activity should have at least 1 predecessor and 1 successor. Ideally just 1 of each. So here we can see that the first one had a predecessor, but as we look along, we can see number of successors 0. So it's got an open end to the right. And so you see down here, some of them have got successors, but no predecessor. And so we'd be able to analyze that, figure out why that was, and then do something to fix it. So back to Diagnostics there. Once you've figured out the problems in your schedule, then you'd be ready to communicate that to whoever. So you'd come over to Publish, click on Publish. You can do a high-level briefing, executive briefing, that will give you a Word document. You can publish the details to Excel, more nitty-gritty. Do a Deltek Acumen Fuse analyst report, which is even more nitty-gritty, but highlighting exactly where the problems are, so that you can use that report to go back into your original schedule and target all the problem activities and fix them there and then. You can copy the information to clipboard if you want, or you can create custom reports. It's probably worth at this moment looking at the dashboards, which is another form of reporting. So if we go to the dashboards tab, you can see that there's lots of graphics now showing you in very clear detail what the problems are. There are 14 basic layouts, all giving you slightly different combinations of report. So if we went to this one, layout 8, you can see that we were talking about open ends, logic quality, bottom left here on the initial plan, 11 open ends, and then schedule quality again, bottom right, missing logic, 11. So different representations of the data in columns, donuts, instruments, and all of these things can be copied and pasted into a report to make the report that bit more understandable. So that's pretty much how Acumen Fuse works in one quick look. Some other videos addressing other issues will be created. So for now, thanks for watching.